I always wondered. We've all been hearing about critical race theory and parents going off on it. But one thing that never made sense to me about parents protesting school board meetings and now checking seeing what their kids are working on. What's blowing my mind about this whole thing is, and by the way, kids don't need to learn about this stuff. There aren't prejudiced kids. Well, very few. So when Fortune 500 companies across the board, society, media, all has the same opinion of, the same mainline opinion, which is don't be racist, don't be needlessly mean. We don't need to teach fourth graders about a socialist and communist filled political ideology, race theory. It just is not necessary. Why don't we teach them about how to pay taxes, what's required to vote, how to cook for themselves, boys and girls, how to fix minor things on their car, meditate. There's a million better things that could be taught to kids. And we're not even touching on how poorly children are educated on the stuff we assume they were, on math, on history. When was the Declaration of Independence written? I mean, I'm sure you've seen plenty of videos, as I have, about most people have no idea. Who were the first three presidents? What were they about? There's already so much our education system fails at, and then even more that it needs to try to teach them that it doesn't, that we don't need to add in more stuff to the mix. Why don't we just teach them the stuff we're supposed to, but actually do it? So back to my circling back around, there's all these parents that are up in arms. And I was thinking, I was having lunch with my dad, and we were talking about it, and I said, Dad, can you imagine me coming home after school and we're eating dinner and you ask me how my day is? And I told you our teacher was giving extra credit for Antifa. America is a trash nation. We had to sing allegiance to the LGBT flag. And by the way, if it's your flag, it's fine. But this is America. It's not LGBT Erica. You know? My dad would have had an absolute aneurysm at the dinner table. It's one thing if I said, hey, my friend was saying this, and my dad would say, well, no, your friend's wrong, right? Because my dad has his own opinions. He'd say, oh, no, your friend's wrong, and here's why, and here's the thinking about this. What are your thoughts about this? Or, and I'll say, oh, I don't know, or I want to think about it. And then he would follow up and ask me, Thursday dinner. But if I had said, oh, no, my teacher, my history teacher, my social studies teacher was telling me this, he would have flipped, he would have taken the day off of work the next day and gone in with him and my mom and said, what are you teaching? Aren't you supposed to teach? Aren't you supposed to be teaching about the Revolutionary War? Why are you teaching 70s French communist theory to my child? And so all these parents that are now freaking out about it and going to these PTA meetings are having a natural parental reaction towards this. But why didn't they have this reaction sooner? Why didn't they have this reaction after Tuesday family dinner, or on Wednesday, or on Thursday family dinner, or on Monday family dinner, Friday family pizza night? It didn't make sense. And then I realized these parents only were finding out about this because it was on TikTok, because it was shared in their Facebook parents group. They had not asked their kids, what did you learn today? What did you learn in school today? There was no family dinners. What did they just, oh, here's takeout. All right, go eat it in your room. Go eat it in front of the TV in front of them. Go eat separately. They're missing the core aspects. The single most important thing for a child's success is, well, A, parents. B, family dinner. Eating dinner with your family. Making sure that your children are absorbing lessons that you want them to absorb. And having a chance to reflect on certain things. Oh, I punched my friend. Well, why'd you punch your friend? Right? Instead of letting the kid come to his own conclusions about that without any other external input by the people who are paying for and raising in time and effort and love, you would think that there would be a little bit of care about what is this small growing child. What are they digesting? What are they taking in every day? Right? They might care about, oh, is he eating organic? Is he doing this? Is healthy? But they don't care what he's taking into his mind. It just blows my mind. So none of these parents, and this story, it gets even worse because this story would have gone out if there were enough parents that it was brought to attention to, right? If 100, you would think that there would be 100 parents, who found out about this, they would really start talking about it, right? And it would create this ripple effect where more and more parents would start paying attention and talking about it. No. So we had for at least a decade, if not more, where no parents, almost zero parents, actually sat down with their kids at dinner and asked them, what did you learn today? Zero. And that just absolutely, I'm almost speechless. It's really blowing my mind that there are tens of millions, 100 million parents, tens of millions, high tens of millions of parents in the U.S. And how many have their kids in public school? So there's 70 million kids, 60 million, 50 million parents? Barely any, maybe a couple, said, hey, what did you learn today? Oh, your teacher's teaching you communist theory. You're in 4th grade. Do you know when the Revolutionary War started? No? Oh, but you know when Das Kapital was written. Yeah, does that not seem like a problem? That seems like that'd be a problem if pretty much any parent found out about that. So you're telling me that all these parents had no idea until it showed up on their TikTok. The same people who'd be, those darn millennials and Gen Xers, and millennials cover anyone who's younger than a boomer nowadays. But you're telling me all these people how can you even blame kids, right? They never had a chance. They've never had alternative opinions. Society, media tells them all one thing. And their parents, who are supposed to be, hey, you know what? I'm the person who has the most stake in how this future adult turns out. The person who has the highest stake in that child's life has no clue what they're learning every day. Has no idea. They only know because it's on TikTok now, because it's on Facebook. I mean, the absolute state of parents and parenting. Anyone who has had family dinners can attest that's a time for parents to just have a little check on, okay, is their child growing up into a good person, into the person that you would be proud of having raised, right? Because people make their own choices, right? But when a person's a child, you see an overweight kid. If a 5-year-old's overweight, that's the parent's fault. If a kid is overweight anytime up until maybe freshman or sophomore year of high school, that is the parent's responsibility 100%. That kid's not buying, what groceries is he buying, right? And so if it's the parent's responsibility what the kid takes into their body, is it not doubly so for their mind? And if that kid is using their allowance to buy snacks and sugar and treat and candy, or somehow getting it at school, that's one thing. But you need to make sure that they have healthy food at home, some vegetables. It's not just takeout and pizza all the time and Coke. They're drinking water and having a smoothie. Oh, instead of ice cream, let's have a smoothie. So, for the sheer fact of tens of millions of parents for over a decade have just been purely checked out, letting public school raise their kids. You're taking the L on this one. And I'm glad parents are finally, oh, wow, is that what my kid's learning? I didn't realize it. I was wondering where all these little Antifa people came from. Yeah, oh, those little shits, their parents. Well, you're the parent. What do you mean their parents? You're the parent raising them. And I don't mean you, whoever's listening to this. But those people bemoaning youth acting out and acting up are the same people who are more than comfortable for over a decade to let their children just absorb unchallenged all of these positions in which they say they hate or they dislike. So it just blows my mind. And I'd like anyone hearing this to remember that just as you're responsible for what your kid eats, you're responsible for what they mentally eat, even more so. Hey, oh, they learned when Das Kapital was written. That you don't think that might be a bit of a warning sign for fifth grade social studies teacher to be teaching that? Probably. Maybe time to go see what homework he's assigning. Maybe time to be a little bit more active with your family and your responsibilities, and less so on what pajama wearing TikTok dance you can do, what CrossFit program. Yeah, that's okay. Your key is to help process and help them think and help them learn how to critically think. We already know that critical thinking is not something that is taught in school. It's not even taught in college anymore, where it was supposed to have been taught, right? They said, oh, let's put it off. They don't need to learn how to critically think in grade school and high school. 100 years ago, they used to teach them how to critically think in a dirt-floored school in the middle of rural Iowa. They used to be taught how to critically think. So, no, but we've pushed that back, and now college was the time. College no longer does that. So, your responsibility is to teach your children how to critically think from the moment they start going to school. Start questioning things, right? Start learning how to process things. School's not going to teach it. You're the only person that's going to teach it. So if your kid turns out to be some little shithead throwing a brick at a black-owned business because, F capitalism, you have no one but to blame but yourself. 100%. It's not your kid's fault. He never had a chance. You never gave him a chance because you were too obsessed and busy about your own little bullshit.